Madam President, I hope that many people tuned in to the presentation that Senator Stabenow just made. Those of us who serve in the United States Senate know that as chairman of the Senate Agriculture Committee, she not only walks the walk, she talks the talk. She has passed a farm bill, no mean feat. She has shown her own expertise in achieving that goal and her understanding of a very complex piece of legislation. Would the senator from Michigan yield for a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Could you be kind enough to say for the record when the current farm bill expires?
The current farm bill expires at the end of December, so we have to do something before we leave in December.
Would you explain to those who are not familiar with it what happens if we do nothing?
Well, if we do nothing, then a number of programs revert to what's called a Depression-era policy. And there's something called the dairy cliff that everybody's always worried about because it goes back to a pricing structure that would completely throw the dairy industry into upheaval. And so this is not okay.
And when you say Depression-era programs, are you literally talking about the 1930s?
Yes. It throws it back to policies of the 1930s.
And dire consequences for dairy interests, for example.
Yes.
So if we fail to come together on a bipartisan basis before the end of the year, that is the reality that will be faced by the new administration.
Yes. And now we could pass an extension again and throw this into the lap of everyone next year. That doesn't create any more certainty for farmers. Those who want to just do some ad hoc payments, that's not going to work. And so the reality is we have short-term help in our bill. We have 5-year farm bill, and we can get it done now. 100 bipartisan bills that are included in our bill. This is a bipartisan effort, even though at this point not endorsed on a bipartisan basis. But our farmers and ranchers would be a whole lot better if we could get this done.
And currently under the Senate schedule, which we've been told, we literally have until a little past the middle of next month to do our business.
Right. This means now.
Yes. And of course, I would add to that, we have many worthy judicial nominees on this calendar to consider too. So there's work to be done.
There is, and thank you so much, and thank you for being a valuable member of the committee. I would just say, where we know, and you know, leading Judiciary Committee, where there's a will, there's a way. If people want to come together, we can get something done and get it done by the end of the year, but people have to decide they really want a bipartisan bill and are willing to come together to do that.
And the key to that, I think, goes back 60 years ago when we married nutrition programs and agriculture programs, so that people living in the city of Chicago, for example, who hear over and over Illinois is an agricultural state but don't have any evidence of it other than what's on the table for their family to eat, will have as much interest in passing this bill as my farmers downstate. I'm sure the same is true in the state of Michigan.
There's no question, and we also have extensive evidence that when a bill is put forward on the floor that cuts the nutrition title, it never passes. 2012 in the House, 2018 in the House, when Republican colleagues only put a bill on the floor that cuts nutrition, they do not get the bipartisan support, and it fails. Every time. This feels like Groundhog Day to me, every single time. And so I would hope that we would learn from those lessons and do what we did in 2018 in the Senate and come together and get a bipartisan bill.
So we all know that the cost of food has gone up, making it more difficult for families to keep food on the table. And we also know that low-income people face that.
Yes.
And what are the nutrition programs that are part of this farm bill that can help them?
Well, first of all, let me say the basic program is called SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's about $6 a day for an individual. So a mom gets $6, her child gets $6.
That's not a lot.
Not when you go to the grocery store. No, that certainly isn't. And then we add support for food banks. We add additional assistance and incentives if you're buying fresh fruits and vegetables. We do, some other kinds of things, but the basic is SNAP. And we gave an update that hadn't been done in 50 years in SNAP in the last farm bill, and it added that $6 now includes $1.35. That was an update based on cost over a 50-year basis, and that's what folks are arguing about. And going forward, CBO says there would be an update every 5 years of about 2% for SNAP, and that's what our Republican colleagues are fighting about.
I see my colleague from Minnesota is on the floor, and I just want to say that this exchange is the reason why we're going to miss Senator Stabenow of Michigan when it comes to the Agriculture Committee and many other areas. She does her homework. She understands in the complexity of a big bill that there are real-life human issues that face us, and there are real people who are waiting for us to get our job done. Thank you for doing this and moving the debate along. I sincerely hope we can get this done before the end of the year and the disastrous consequences that you described.
Thank you.
I yield the floor.